When you're about to hop on the AA, if you go where just start laying them down. God is.
Okay, I'm Jack from here and everything I fucking had now. We ought to do a show.
So you brought up Andrew Tate a second ago. What I found interesting is, did you see that basically the day he got arrested, J.P. Sears is being sued by the Virgin Islands for fucking being in cahoots with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah.
Oh, who's getting sued?
J.P. Sears.
They're suing
J.P. Sears or J.P. Morgan? Sorry, J.P. Morgan. Sorry, J.P. Morgan. My apologies. J.P. Morgan is suing.
Or no, they're being sued by
the Virgin Islands.
By the Virgin Islands.
For being in, and now basically if you read it, what it was is they figured out that, thank you baby. They figured out Jeffrey Epstein was accused and convicted of soliciting sex from a teenager in 2008.
Right.
From that point on, J.P. Morgan, who owns Chase Bank, continued to do business with Jeffrey Epstein. So therefore, people
knowingly,
and they saw like all the weird, because they said a lot of the activity in his accounts were super suspicious.
Yeah.
And the bank wasn't saying anything.
Right, they were reporting.
They were reporting anything.
So they were in cahoots for sure.
Basically in cahoots with Jeffrey Epstein. And that happened the day Andrew Tate got arrested.
Yeah.
And was he convicted during 200008, or was that an...
He was convicted.
He was convicted.
He pleaded, right?
Yeah.
It was just
like,
he
pleaded
was just a fucking...
Right, just paid him off outside of court settlement.
But then in 2011, I guess he was being investigated for basically like covering some shit up in regards to that 2008 investigation. Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, so he was like covering shit up.
Yeah, I guess in 2011 they found out he was like covering something up or whatever.
Okay, I never.
So there was like multiple situations where they could have been like, okay, he is being weird. Fuck you, we're seizing, because that's the other thing is like the government was like wanting them to seize the bank account.
Right.
Or not that they wanted them to, not that government wanted them to, but that's like in essence what would have happened in any other situation, right? Any other superpower raping kids would have they would have just seized your bank account.
Yeah. And that's the thing about the bureaucracy and shit. It's like it's so blatant that they knew that this was going on, and they're just like, oh, we'll just send a paper to Chase Bank, and they're supposed to, oh, it'll just get caught up. We're making requests from all these people, but they haven't responded yet. Yeah, sorry. 8 years later, and then all of a sudden the dude's dead, right? But,
yeah.
That's interesting, Virgin Islands. A lot of weird shit going on out there, huh?
What about Hunter having to pay $50,000 for his room? Did you see that shit?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, dude.
So he had to pay his pops $50,000 a month for a room in the house. That's how they were funneling the money.
Mm-hmm. No, they got big time funneling money, dude.
And it's like the same exact amount that was being deposited by one of the foreign entities that he was working for.
One of the Ukrainians.
So it was just like there wasn't even like any like play on it. Like,
who's gonna fucking who gives a shit? That's
it's like your dad's charging you fucking rent.
And the only reason we know this is probably because we barely have Congress now.
Well, the only reason we know any of this stuff, I mean, they're throwing him under the bus. I mean, obviously.
They want him out. They want him out for 2024.
He's going to be out for this year.
Well, that's the thing is we knew he was just a target to like, shoot him down for the fucking COVID and everything that we fucked the country up with. Shoot down Biden because he's fucking worthless. You can't hold him accountable. He's demented.
Yeah.
And we all know this.
And they won't even hold up in fucking court because he's like, you fucking...
none of this he's not going to be able to stand in court.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? Fucking
I don't even know my own fucking name. You can't fucking do it. I don't give a shit. It's like Fauci when he was under testimony and what he said, I do not recall like 416 times under testimony in front of Congress like this last month.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I do not recall. It's like...
No, dude, I mean, that should be treason alone. I mean, if you can't remember what the fuck you were doing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, hold on. Go home, get the fucking paperwork, and come back with the information.
No,
if you don't, in 48 hours, I'm arresting your ass. Like, those are the options.
They're like, your daughter works for Twitter, right? And he's like, I don't recall. Or like, and they're like, motherfucker, your daughter works for Twitter. Like, here's the payroll.
Right, like how much, I mean, Jesus. It really is sad, dude. And that's the thing, is why I came in here fucking preaching all this anarchy bullshit, right? Because it really is like, dude, what the fuck? And at this point, it's so far out of grasp from the regular common thinking person that it's like, even if you fucking delete all these people and refill the seats, you're still just full of fucking shit people, man. that aren't actually using their power to do
Hold
it.
on, and this is where I was saying when you were going off on all this shit, I do agree with you. I think that the Constitution should not be changed, right? But I think if we could add one thing, it should be that a representative cannot be paid more than the median income of the area that they represent.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So then, if you are some podunk fucking dude who lives in a farmer county, and farmers tend to make a lot of money, but let's say like a more podunk county that doesn't have a high income, so you don't make that much money, you bet your fucking ass that dude's gonna be fighting like a motherfucker to get your shit through. They're gonna be like, I don't get paid either, dude. I want my shit to be bumping. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I think if we could add anything, that's what we would.
I mean,
you know, I like that idea. I would take this approach personally, that if you're getting paid by the state, you're literally like contracted by the state. You're not allowed to make any income anywhere else.
100%.
You're not allowed to own any stocks. You're not allowed to do any lobbying. You can't make any more income.
Yeah.
Or you're fucked.
I mean, like the net worths, if you've seen.
Unless you want to go, sorry to interrupt, but unless you go get like a job. Right? If you want to go work at fucking Dion's, at Walmart, sure.
Well, and then you got like the foundations and all the charities that they fucking opened, which is just, I mean, even we're talking way more money than like side investment banks. We're talking like big amount of money.
And you'd be
like,
lucky to see 2% of all those donations.
The Clinton Foundation, you know.
Yeah.
all
Oh
that
my
shit.
God.
Fucking
the Bill and Martha Gates Foundation or whatever the fuck it is.
And like as we see, you know, in this show of good faith, we're going to go out to Haiti and we're going to save these people and steal their children and get them into sex slavery. You know, it's like you had that lady who was part of the Clinton Foundation. And
she got fucking busted.
Yeah, and she was working for
government.
Amber Alert.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy as shit. You know, it's like...
Yeah, when you find out child protection...
What's the story there?
She got fucking busted. So she was connected to the Clinton Foundation, and in Haiti, the Haiti police arrested her. And so the Clintons paid a bunch of money and negotiated her like release, and they charged her with like trafficking children. She was taking like
15 kids or something.
Yeah, something across the border in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
and
trying
she
to
totally
get
got
and then she was hushing the Amber
popped.
Alerts, is what you're saying.
Well, she's connected to the original Amber Alerts.
Right.
She started that as far as like
Okay. Which is just scathing on Amber Alert because it's like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, that goes back to like Child Protection Service being one of the biggest, you know, sex trap or like child trafficking. They can just come in and snag your kids, like because you don't have food in your refrigerator because it's
and all these state-run orphanages are full of fucking pedophiles. It's like they go out there purposefully looking for fucked up people because it's like they treat all these state places like a Goodwill. Like we're gonna give all these people who are a little off, we're gonna give them all jobs, you know. And it's like that's what the state has turned into. It's like, oh, you cut your wee-wee off and you did this. Oh, well, we have an opening for you. You know, it's a really easy work. It's state work, you know. I mean, it just seems a little odd. Yeah, speaking of which, okay, I was gonna hold this off, and this may be a little this may be a little gruesome. What's up? What? This may be a little gruesome for your guys' taste. And but please add your little intake here, right?
Oh yeah.
So we've got the story out of Canada, okay? And as we've been thoroughly tracking the whole development of the MAID or
wait, hold on, just real quick. Do you know about MAID in Canada?
Medical
assisted dying. Okay.
Yeah, I started hearing about that.
Okay, and you do, right, Taylor? So we all are on the same page?
Kinda, from you guys'...
Okay, just making sure we're all on the same page.
He watches our shit, dude. 100%. Okay, so the point is that this dude, okay, got a sex change, and the surgery was botched to whatever degree that means. Okay,
yeah, I saw something about this.
Then the dude fucking puts up on social media or whatever his application for he's gonna apply to have himself offed. Now, I'd like to point out before we start this conversation a couple of things. Number one, the weird thing that people are like, it's like simulation theory where people are like jumping into this life. They're like, oh, what do we want to do? You know, I'll wear a dog mask, and I'll do this, or I'm gonna snip this part off of me, and we're gonna do this or whatever. It's like the gift of life is lost in like the simulation theory or something, right? But then they decide, like a video game, they're just going to delete themselves, right? But then they ask the government to do it. Okay? Now, tell me that's not the biggest mindfuck you've heard in a long time. Where have you lost your humanity completely? because killing yourself is like, fuck, I could do that right now. You can't stop me.
Right, but having the balls to kill yourself.
Having the balls to kill yourself.
Having the balls to ask the government to kill you.
Well, I mean, it's probably easier.
That's crazy. Well,
I mean, like,
that is fair, but here's the one thing. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, I feel, I mean, suicide's something, you know, it's been around for a long time, we all deal with, and like, I mean, I feel like somebody, you know, most people at some point have had at least a suicidal thought, but I mean, there's a big difference between maybe having that thought and doing it, and then getting to the point where you actually do it, and then like, but being able to like, maybe sign up for a program and fill out a piece of paper and let someone else do it is...
I'm not saying it's definitely, I do agree with you that it's easier, but imagine, sorry, what?
I think one important thing to bring up here is that what's scary about the MAID program isn't necessarily that like people are joining up for it. It's that doctors are incentivized.
Yes.
And then here's the one thing I want to point.
That whoever this is, they chose to like kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They might have been like manipulated into like choosing this program.
And then remember, I literally said in one of his episodes, he brought this up, and I was like, back in the day, okay, and I'm still one of those who does believe that if you genuinely do believe that you are of another gender, you have what's called gender dysphoria, right? And that is a fucking clinical thing. I'm not saying people who feel like a man and they want to be a man or feel like a woman want to be a woman. When I was a kid, that was called a transvestite. It's fine. I don't care. You know what I mean? But if you genuinely in your fucking head believe you are another gender, that's called gender dysphoria, which is technically a medical or a mental disorder. And remember, MAID is targeting people with mental disorders. And I pointed this out in an episode. If you literally just be like, oh, all you have to do is say, I'm trans. You have gender dysphoria. Kill yourself. You know what I mean? Boom. Oh, cool. Awesome. I just needed to check off that one box, and now I can tell you, you have to, even if you don't, even if you're just like, you just want to be a woman, and you want to dress like a woman, or want to dress like a man.
What is it, embitterment disorder?
Oh, post-traumatic embitterment disorder. PTED.
You lost your
like,
job.
well, and like, where did all this come from? You know, like, I don't, like...
Eugenics. It's eugenics.
Well, like the estrogen and different, you know, our testosterone levels and our estrogen levels by what's being put in the food. You know? So, I mean, like, I think, like, you know, that's what, I feel like back in the day, males would eat, you know, there's just the different things you would do and intake in your body would make the man and the woman, and now it's so mixed that, like, you know, there's something more, like, genetic in it than, like, just...
I definitely would say that I'm not a doctor, so I'm not at all claiming to act like I know anything about this subject, but I do know that gender dysphoria is a clinical diagnosis. So that's the only thing I stand by.
I mean, you should tag everything you say that I'm not a doctor.
I try. I will say. What I will say, exactly, is that I will agree with you that microplastics and seed oils could very easily be leading, because I mean, like you were saying, our drop in testosterone, our drop in estrogen is like plummeting. I mean, like, it's insane.
Yeah, this does lead to depression, suicidal thoughts, you know.
Oh, 100%. Just like hormonal imbalance, you know, 100% can lead to all of this. But I do think, you know, okay, so for instance, my brother lives in this county. Well, I don't know, can't remember what it's called, but we'll say it's Kernel County in Maryland, okay? In 2019, 13 children identified as transgender in the entire county. 13 kids. In 2021, 2 years later, 2021, like 1,200 kids identified. And they're talking about how it's a social contagion, right? Because I remember when I was a kid, you know, my ladies talked about kids talking about being a vampire. Remember when we were in kindergarten, I would tell kids I lived on the moon, in a jungle on the moon. It made me sound cool, you know. So if you are different, or if it's something that all the other kids are doing, it's I'm not saying
the bisexual wave. When the bisexual wave, all the kids are fucking fat.
Exactly. Now I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that feel this way or whatever. I'm not at all claiming that, but I think that like the children aspect of it, in regards to like the microplastics and seed oils in our diets, all that, I think the children is more of a social contagion. Then, you know,
well, I mean, like, the children, it's like, what are they teaching in the schools? I mean, like, that's
the other thing.
Which brings me to my point on this subject, which is, these people have obviously been, because if it is true that you do have a psychological disorder, that you do have gender dysphoria or whatever, and people are continuously, society is affirming that psychosis, okay? It's even if you don't really have that,
so
but
just
you've
real
been
quick,
inducted into it.
It's like affirming a bulimic person, I feel like.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just want to
really
add that in real quick.
But the idea is that what shows me that they've been fully trained and they've been fully fucked out of their conscious soul, okay? And I hate to say that about human beings. But if you've been trained so much that you're asking daddy government to please kill me because I've messed my body up, you can't even, because like you said, suicide is almost an earned thing where you have to have the balls to do it. Like, you know, of all the people, sure, they call it the coward's way out.
Well, it's funny, if you think about, like...
It's the bravest thing a coward can do, that's what I heard.
Well, like, all the people you know that's committed suicide are usually the most awesome people.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. It's not
it's
like pieces of shits. They're like, no, it's like the coolest, like...
It's
I'm
too
honest.
easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't take bravery at all. It's so easy.
But I don't got the balls to pull the trigger, dude.
But you might, but you might in the wrong mental state.
Hold on, I've been in
Or
some
you might-
pretty deep ditches in the
You
past
just
2
lost
years.
all your money. You just lost everything. Or think about even like
I could do it.
you got fucking hit in the brain. You were in a car accident. You're fucking.
I'm not
you got
denying
fucking-
I could do it. I'm just
All
saying,
kinds of stuff can happen.
I'm not saying that I couldn't do it ever. I'm just saying right now I do not have the balls to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
That is an
But
insane. And again, I'm not saying that, you know, people go through some insane shit.
Right. And as a horrible Christian, okay, really bad one, okay, you know, I do believe that it's like, dude, you can't just give up. Just because you fucked up, like, that's really selfish of you to just go. No matter what situation, it's selfish.
We've already been through this before with, like, Kevorkian, right? I mean, wasn't that back in, remember Dr. Kevorkian, and then he was in the 90s.
The guy
that was doing assisted suicide.
yeah,
in, like,
we were
Michigan.
talking about that. That's the guy we were talking about.
Okay.
Yeah,
I,
I mean,
I
like,
think assisted suicide is okay, but I think that like the MAID program
For the
is a
old
different level. There's a different like.
Yes,
Yes,
here's
because
what I would
it's
say,
not old
assisted
people
suicide,
medically
yeah,
challenged.
exactly.
It's not,
I was
that's not
gonna
what
say,
we're talking about.
It's
like,
like cancer.
I'm-
If you're, yeah, exactly.
Right.
If you're talking, but here's the other thing. Okay, here's
woke
the
up on
other
the wrong
thing.
side of the bed.
You also have to keep in mind that. Oh, thank you, sir. You also have to keep in mind that like he just said, it is very selfish, right, to kill yourself. And just like we were talking before the camera started rolling, I told my lady earlier, we were literally walking into the grocery store earlier today, and I told her, I was like, I try and keep a very linear logic process. Like if something doesn't, if it skews off, it's wrong to me. And I'm not saying other people are wrong if they think differently than me. I'm talking about in my own personal head. I try and have it very, because then it's easy for me to explain to myself and others, whatever. The whole concept of committing suicide to me is selfish. Regardless of whether it's assisted, we got cancer, whatever. The reason I would say that it's selfish is let's say you're my mom, right? And let's say you're horribly sick with cancer and you're in pain. But I want to spend, you got 2 weeks. I just want to spend those last 2 weeks with you. That's all I want. Like, you're my mom and you're going to fucking die and I'm going to have a horrible fucking time if you die sooner and I don't get that closure. So to just say, oh, well, I'm in pain and I'm getting a lot of bed sores, it's like, first off, if I want to be a dick, you're going to die, bitch. Put up with it. You know what I mean? If I'm going to be a nice son, stay with me for a while. You know what I mean? But like for real, like
Well, you know, this
you
is a
can't
good
just
point.
fucking kill yourself because you're like, oh, I'm in pain. Fuck you.
But
I want to spend time with you.
But at the same time, you know, this is a great point because, you know, the way I think about it is, of course, I want that time, you know, and, you know, but then that's me, like, expressing ownership over my mother, and we're both selfish. Living life is kind of a selfish thing, you know, I need you, you need me, we need each other, you know, kind of thing. It's selfish for you to just bounce out. It's selfish for me to want you to stay. This guy,
well, and as we've always talked about, like predictive programming, how it's like in movies and books and shit, they always like the shit that they tell us or whatever. It just blows my mind. Like in The Giver, that was like a thing, right? It was like they always had like perfect weather or whatever because they could control it. And then you think, oh, that's just like shit from The Giver. You know,
Yeah.
and that couldn't happen. That's from The Giver.
That is definitely part of like a deprogramming, like from how I was brought up. TV, you know, that was my parents' generation was brought up on TV. So as a child,
Yeah.
you know, TV was like they're looking for the TV. I watched tons of TV, and like to having to go back and like really going through every show or every like pattern and like being like, oh, it was from that show. Like that thought, like why I'm thinking this was from. You know, like you have to really go back and like go and see which, you know, oh, oh, I watched this. This made me think that way, you know.
It's with the pipe. 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 It's with the pipe.
So,
yeah, you know, and I actually see it in real time right now. They just released and which they've been toying with us this whole time. They've been doing it virtually. They play us like a little virtual. They put it in the virtual reality so that they can then bring it out into the legality. But what they're talking about is illegalizing hate speech.
Yeah.
Right. So they're basically trying to do away or right around what we know is the First Amendment and be able to legally punish people for their speech. And obviously that'll, you know, who knows how far.
PayPal did that. They'll tax you like $2,000 on your account for being documented hate speech or something.
Yeah, and that's why there's another company called Parallel Economy. That's what people have been switching to instead of PayPal.
or Singo. There's another one too. Yeah.
Get Singo.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's fucking wild, man. You know, when you think about it, it's a lot.
It's the whole evil thing.
A lot of fucking shit that I say people can take as hate speech. Like the fact that I even said that.
But yeah, who's the arbiter of the hate speech? Who's back there like the Wizard of Oz saying,
Well, here's what gets me. Here's what gets me. It's like, I understand what they're saying in regards to, like, you know, just as an example. Now, I'm not saying he did or didn't. I don't fucking watch a show, so I don't know, so no one's saying anything. I'm not talking about you guys, but anyone else in the world. But Alex Jones and the whole Sandy Hook shooting thing. Okay, let's just say again, like we were talking about earlier, if the media was fully truthful, right? And what the media said about Alex Jones and the Sandy Hook shooting was real, and he like instigated a bunch of fucking violence against the families or whatever, right? I understand how you would want that to not be.
Yeah, but you just sue.
Yeah.
Which you
like why are you gonna put me in prison, yo? Like I don't know. It's weird. It's like I didn't do anything.
Yeah, sue him for damages so you never have to work again. I mean, that's your life there.
And did you, hold on, just real quick on a side note, did you guys hear that he may be getting sued for $1 trillion? I heard that.
Yeah, up to $1 trillion. Yeah, no, it was 999 billion last time I heard.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, okay, this is
no
just
one
knows
$1
No,
trillion.
no one's ever been sued, I don't think, for that much money, dude. Not even a fucking medical company.
There's not
a medical company.
There's literally only one trillionaire who's ever existed, and he was like a Persian prince.
Hold on, could anybody look this up? Because Pfizer was actually the biggest. It was actually the company that had the biggest lawsuit in.
Yeah, it was $2.3 billion. Yeah,
it's billion.
Yeah, it's $2.3 billion.
Then that's the biggest that's ever happened.
So far.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, motherfuckers.
Well, that's the biggest payout, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to get $1 trillion out of Alex Jones. So they're going to, you know.
Oh no.
Now, whether or not they get more than $2.3 billion, I don't fucking know. But you know, yeah,
No,
like,
dude, we'll all be in prison by the time any of that matters, you know.
So, one crazy thing that I want to bring up real quick is just a trip. Okay. Have you guys seen all this shit? I brought this up, I think, maybe the last time or the other speakeasy before that. But all this shit with, like, they've dubbed it emerging science, right? And it's like the concept of, like, the Younger Dryas, right? You know about the Younger Dryas? So they're talking about the Younger Dryas, they say happened like 12,800 years ago and stopped 11,600 years ago. And so, like, have you ever heard the theory about how the Sphinx has been eroded by like thousands of years of rain?
Yeah.
So basically, that whole theory, everything behind it and ahead of it is kind of becoming like, oh shit, that's probably true. And one thing that everyone keeps doing, and this is what really weirds me out because of the culture today and how everyone's very anti, like, religious. Like, even my dad, dude, we were talking about how Cadence, your son, is fucking with his grandparents who are Christian. And I was like, well, you know, and me and my lady were over there for dinner, and I was like, you know, it's nice that he's kind of with a Christian family or whatever. And even my dad was like, well, some Christians can be crazy. And I'm like, yeah.
What do you mean by crazy?
Yeah, well, and also,
'Cause,
anybody can be crazy. That's
Yeah.
a retarded statement, Dad.
Yeah.
Like, there are some great fucking Christians out there. There are some really bad ones, too. There are great Muslims out there. There are
Right.
some bad ones, too.
But dude, if I'm rolling in the middle of the woods and people are killing each other and the shit is on, the shit has hit the proverbial fan, right? And here we are, and I'm cruising along and I meet somebody, and they're rocking a massive fucking cross on their shirt, or they're like, yo, I'm with Jesus or whatever. I'm gonna give them a second look before I blow their fucking shit away. You know, it's like
That's fair.
because I mean, it's like. You know, I mean, there is a base value of like, okay, like if you have a God, you know, there should be a base value of like, you know, hey, I'm not just trying to rack up murders on my soul here, you know. You're not just trying to ruthlessly rape and kill people. You would think, however.
The giant red Catholic cross.
Is there, yeah, a Templar outfit there.
It's harder fucking doing it.
Alright, you some sick armor.
It's all
Mighty Python and shit.
Yeah. He's got his homie with the coconut shells.
Dude, that's
Oh my god, dude.
Time, dude.
Dude, that is like the best shit ever. Like, fuck, I don't know. I'm one of those people, I don't really find the Knights Who Say Ye all that funny. Dude, that shit with the galloping coconut, dude, gets me.
No, that is seriously the best joke of the last fucking 200 years, I'd say. Like, literally, it really is.
Oh.
Yeah, so, fucking Rich just came up here on a whim. Yeah, I like
we
that.
closed early because of the snow.
Nice.
Nice,
I was
dude.
supposed to be working until like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So.
Well, it's fucking
and I
perfect.
just happened to be fucking eating, and it was
Well,
like,
you're still on the clock, dude.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
how much you get paid an hour?
How much do I get paid an hour?
Yeah. Are you allowed to say that on
26.
26? Okay.
Okay. It's pretty good, dude.
That's pretty good, but I can't afford that, so we're gonna have to wrap this up here.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
Conversation and like restaurants are not a good investment right now. I talked to my food purveyor, who's Shamrock, and he does all the Santa Fe restaurants, and he's like the only people that are doing good right now are like tablecloth, $400 fucking tags. They're the only people that are doing well because the food costs and labor costs has gone up so much. It's just crushing your numbers because like normally restaurants run on 7 to 12% profit after everything's done, and that's
nothing.
Skimming.
It's skimming, and that's doing well. You get 12%, you're doing really well. So I mean, like, but if eggs go up 100%, chicken goes up 100%, you raise your prices 15, 20%, you can't match the increase. And it's like, so Josh listened to something and he heard that like all the restaurants over the entire country are going to be going into like fail mode this year because of the buildup of the like where it's finally catching up with what we've been going through, and now it's hitting the bottom line in the pockets of the owners. You know, you're like, oh, I got this PPP loan through COVID and got floated and all this stuff, and now all of a sudden it's like, you know, you're looking at shit and it's just not adding up. You do your taxes this year and it's like, fuck.
Dude,
Right.
and then
that's
like
what happens when you artificially prop people up through
Yeah.
through this socialist fucking scheme.
And that harks back into what you were talking about earlier, with like just like, you know,
Well,
propping yourself up with the government.
And you have to source your food through a commercial, you know, production people who have complete control over, you know, the price and stuff.
Yeah,
so
oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like,
This
they
is-
say eggs went up because of the avian flu, but it has nothing to do with that. It's artificial inflation. Tyson did the same thing during COVID, and they had the record profits, like doubled their most profits, but chicken went up 100%, and their profits went up 100%. You know, so I mean, it's like.
Yeah, and that's
it's
the
just,
thing is
they're
it's
putting
like,
a squeeze on it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like what you're saying, that they offered all these PPP loans or whatever to make you feel like, oh, we're gonna fucking make it or whatever. But they knew all along they're gonna steal your business.
Now why?
It
Now
was
why
There was a
are why
plan to
are they doing
bankrupt
this?
90% of business
To keep you
owners.
fucking paying
But
into
no,
this shit.
but why they're going specifically after restaurants, and they did during COVID, during the shutdowns, because restaurants are like the infrastructure of we the
feeding
people.
people.
I mean,
Yeah.
how many? I mean,
Everyone's worked in a
in
restaurant.
the service industry. It's like it is the
If
main
they
line.
aren't, they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's cash tips where you're not claiming your tip. There's an infrastructure through restaurants and family and everything, and that's why it's a target. I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's the thing: could you get nitty gritty down to the nothing with it? Could you sell rice and beans out this fucking cart and actually make, you know, if every single
Make some good rice and beans.
I'm not fucking around, you know, and you're lucky to have protein, but you have it. You know, it's like if it's getting to that point, and you're that one guy that's buying 18 sacks of fucking rice and beans and feeding everybody with it, you know, and it's like, dude, $3 a fucking, you know, whatever,
Right.
you know, it could make sense. but in hard enough times, right?
Well, I think about like what's the local grocery store in Madrid?
Green Grocers.
Yeah. So I know Kate really well, and I talked to her, and it's not a business or a business plan. It's like they're doing it for charity. I mean, it's basically
a movement.
It's a charity. I mean, like they don't make money. They're doing it just so the people can have access to good food, and that's the only reason they're doing it. Like,
God
I mean, they're
damn.
like
That's
they
dope.
pay themselves, but I mean, like it's not.
Right, nobody's
No.
promoting that.
Because it's
How long
her and
they're out.
Stella, right?
It's her and Stella. I mean, they're talking like they might make $400 a month or something after like overhead and rent and all that shit. Like,
God damn.
so they're not. I mean, you know.
Yeah. They're earning the gas to drive down there every morning.
Yeah.
But if it was a food truck, like chicken, some whatever, a couple simple meats, rice, beans, real easy, keep everything easy, and then instead of having an employee that had like an hourly wage, if there was literally a percentage of like the daily profits, like if it was 25% or a third, because then the other 2/3 is like to pay for the food you used, and then the rest of it could go to support the truck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
So it'd be like thirds, and then so it would just be, it could be really
But
good.
that
if you had a
is
great
that
cook.
is the idea for numbers in a restaurant. Labor costs 33, food costs 33 into the restaurant, and maybe like I said, 5 to 7% for the owner. He's taking a profit, not reinvesting in the restaurant. But that is the ideal thing.
But you're saying food cost is overcoming all of the other.
Yeah.
At this point?
we ran 37% labor and like 42% food cost, and so.
God damn,
So how
son.
much do you think about it's just thrown away?
The food,
Yeah.
as far as waste?
Yeah.
Pretty minimal. We have, we're not, everything's cooked to order and stuff, so I mean, we used to have veggie scraps, but now Allison takes them for the pigs, so,
Oh, nice.
like, I mean, I'm not really, this last week I've thrown some stuff away because we've had snowstorm, we had to close on Wednesday, and just product you hold,
Yeah.
Yeah.
perishables can't do anything about it. I mean, it's, like,
Yeah,
I make
milk.
soups, that's.
Cheese and milk, right?
What, as
And
far as.
perishables, and is it lettuce?
Cucumbers, zucchini, stuff like that doesn't go,
Very
doesn't
long.
hold very long,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
more than a week if you're not. And you have to buy them through the truck, through like big boxes, you have to get like a 40 thing bushel
Yeah.
zucchini, because it's cheaper than the smaller pack. How fucked up is that?
Dude, it's insane. We truly are becoming a communist nation, and it's terrifying. It's actually scaring the ever-loving fuck out of me. And I'm like I told Allie, I was like, all right, we're incubating as many ducks as we can. I've fallen in love with duck meat, so I'm just like, we just had duck burgers the other night.
Oh, no.
Bro, have you
I've never had, so how do you do,
I did it on the counter.
Where you got
It's
it
my
grounded?
parents. Yeah, it's my parents.
so what part of the duck you
The
grind?
breast.
The breast, and you grind it?
Grind it up just like normal.
And just use the fat from the duck and mix
Yeah,
it in?
yeah, you just leave the skin on.
Right on.
And dude,
I'm,
legit the best burgers I've ever had. I told her before we had them, I was like, I really hope I don't love these, because then we're gonna have to do twice the birds, because we eat a lot of birds, and they were fucking unreal.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. It's insane, dude. It's like, I mean, you like duck, like it's
Yeah,
different,
I love
dude.
duck.
It's-
And then you can do anything with it. You can really elevate just a regular ass burger with duck on it, because then you're
Dude,
making
it's
reductions and
insane,
fucking,
bro.
dumb ass
It's-
shit,
yeah, it was true. We did
That's true.
cheese, yeah, and it was delicious with just like a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And then I had balsamic reduction, so we would drizzle that on the burger. It was
Yeah.
fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Jaden got an elk, and so he's just bringing to work. I haven't been eating holler food. We've just been eating elk and just different cuts of elk. We had elk burgers, really good.
Oh, dude, elk burger, that legit is my favorite
He
grandma.
went and
I don't
bought.
know about now, but that was before duck.
I bet. I'm like, now I want a duck burger.
Oh, dude, I've got a bunch of ducks in the freezer. I'll hook you up with some.
He got like some Wagyu fat from Beck and Bulow and grinded that into the elk,
Nice.
so it's not so lean.
Oh, nice, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, it was like.
Yeah, I was thinking, what kind of meats can you mix with the duck to kind of,
I mean, probably do anything.
with the burger?
I mean, as long as it's not a fat that go. I mean, most fats aren't volatile, right? Like, I mean, I know bear fat is, but I mean, that's a fucking rare fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like duck fat is so unique, It just seems like,
Yeah,
how would it blend with everything else,
I wouldn't blend. I mean, it's got enough fat.
Oh
like,
yeah, and I did a lean duck. I did a lean, like a Ruin, who was a real skinny guy. There, because we have the jumbo pecans who were literally. We did that one girl.
Yeah.
He brought over his daughter, and I remember Allie was pulling out, dude, like her hands were just greasy.
You said you're making the designs for the characters. Could you make a character that's kind of like based on me, dude? You know?
You're already a character, man. What do I need to do?
I love you, bro. I love you
too.
I'll see you later, man. Alright.
Alright, peace, yo.
Peace to the West. Yeah, actually, Jason, what the fuck? I won't actually see you for a long time.
That's what I was like.
Even when I come back.
We'll do a
I'm not
fucking
even gonna see
speakeasy.
you.
We'll do a speakeasy.
You promise?
It's a fucking easy
When I
way
come
to get
back
us
here
together.
within the next 3 months, you promise you're gonna come down
3 months? Yeah. That's
in the next 3 months.
Well, what about next month? Wait, no, March.
I don't know when I'm coming down.
Dude, you
If
have to
come-
come down
dude,
for March.
Just scheme about a reason.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah, if
scheme
you
a
can
reason.
come up with a good enough reason, I'll be like, oh, I gotta go.
Alright.
Dad's got tuberculosis, dude. Bill Gates released the tuberculosis from the
Don't
lab.
say that. Don't say that.
Okay, well.
Alright, drive safe, dude. Fucking watch out for your
But
fucking
seriously,
shoelaces,
Jason,
son.
seriously, if I don't see you, man, I wish I was you, dude. Okay?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Wish I was you too, man.
Peace, yo.
Hey, by the way, there's some Coke in there. I think that, do you still have that Jameson?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, dude, Coke and Jameson.
You guys want Jameson?
It's huge.
Nah, I'm
it's like
good.
4 feet
No?
tall.
I'm driving.
Curve thing.
Oh, that's fair. I guess you're all. I'm the only one who's not driving.
But I'm fucking filling in the gap.
Dude, it's
And
perfect.
Top D.
I actually appreciate it. Now you're the co-host, son.
So yeah, somebody had to step in. I mean, this thing's got to keep going.
Oh, it's gotta keep going. The show must go on, like I was saying. He's like, this is the last speakeasy. It's like, it's